no way. There's no way. It's way too much damage. Stop him with the block! He fell charged.
Oh, and he found
wow.
Wow.
Oh, what? He gets out!
Somewhere there's a covert muffin just applauding this scene.
Holy crap.
Oh man, this is gonna come down to execution in the final escape, isn't it?
Sure is.
Every scene
Our
does.
favorite phrase.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to our second match of the day of the 2021 Ori Randomizer Tournament. This matchup is between C39 Acrid versus C20 cereberon. On commentary, my name is Grimelios, and I'm joined by my good friend Roos. How are you, Roos?
Hey, doing pretty well. Looking forward to another awesome bracket match here. This one should be pretty good. We are unfortunately in the lower bracket, so this is a fight for survival. Both of these players have taken a loss already, and whichever one loses this race will be out of the tournament. The other one will be able to continue a hopeful run through the losers bracket to get revenge on the people that put them here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about one of these runners, Grim?
Yeah, so both Acrid and Baron are KBM. I guess I cheated and gave you information about both runners, starting with Acrid on the left. As you can see from the information, Acrid has experience with a number of other speed games, including Dust and Elysian Tale, Hollow Knight Bastion, and Minish Cap. Also has a fair amount of experience with Ori in terms of time that he's been part of the community. You know, maybe not active for that entire time as evidenced by spending time with these other games, but certainly has a breadth of Ori knowledge to draw upon. And what about Baron?
Yeah, we should be able to see our runners get started here pretty shortly, maybe about 30 seconds to a minute. But while we're waiting, Baron, also a KBM runner, as you said, has been around the Ori community for quite a while, has a lot of experience with the randomizers, specifically doing like some pretty brutal plandomizers. So hopefully that sort of knowledge can come in and help him out in this race here. Previous experience with Legend of Mana and Battle Paths. I got to admit, I am not familiar with Battle Paths at all, but Legend of Mana, very cool game and a very cool speedrun as well. And as you can see from his description down there, he definitely is like sort of a challenge runner. He likes to do, like I said, those pretty difficult plandomizers that have some awful tricks in them. So we could see that knowledge come into play here. You know, if he knows he can get to a pickup, even if it's well out of logic, might see some pretty advanced tricks come into play here. So, you know, given our seedings here, you know, how would you expect this race to play out, Grim?
Well, Baron should take the win on paper. As with any race, you would theoretically expect the higher seed player to win, but this is a randomizer, which means that seeds, they still matter, but they don't matter as much. Also, the difference of seeding here, 19, is significant, but it's not, you know, incredible. We're not looking at a seed 5 player versus like a seed 40 player, you know? This is well within the range of just a handful of good plays, a handful of smart finds from Acrid could make this go, you know, differently than you might expect it to.
Totally
I don't know
agree.
what's going to happen.
All right. So, you know, normal commentary game. What is our first progression item going to be, Grim?
First progression is going to be Bash. We've seen so many like charge jump openings, which is cool. Don't get me wrong, but I want something a little different.
All right, I'm going to predict double jump, and I want to see some really cool double jump wall interaction out of Baron, because I know if he's done plandomizers, double jump wall interaction has to have shown up in those at some point. I love the really just funky double jump wall interaction. That's not definitely not in standard logic, but is always really cool to see anyway.
There is certainly an enormous gap between standard logic and what is possible with the skills in this game. Well, progression, we still don't know what first progression is going to be. It wasn't the first pickup, which is a health cell. However, getting a health cell is very important, not only for the end game eventually, but also for the early game. It makes a lot of sections a lot easier. For example, a lot of spikes and blacker deal 3 damage, so with 4 health you can survive some mistakes.
Yep, and both of our players are just going to come off to the left here. They're going to make one little check under here. That is going to be just another energy cell, and then they're going to jump up and get sign, which, as probably most of our viewers know, this pickup is not randomized. It is important to be able to have this basic attack. So we do specifically not randomize this one. And then they're going to make use of their Alt-R to head back to the start. And we should see both of them continue off to the left where there are 2 more pickups waiting for them.
Yeah, the number of possible openings is, enormous if you were to sit down and enumerate all of them. Right now we have 2 keystone pickups remaining. At least one of them must contain some form of progression. That might be a skill, that might be a teleporter sending them somewhere else. If they do get sent somewhere else, they're going to have to do so on a very low skill set. We'll find out in just a few seconds whether this first keystone has anything valuable. It does.
It does. That is wall jump. So wall jump is a pretty basic form of progression. It's going to allow them to jump up off of the walls. Notably right now, because of the fact that we only have one more pickup here and it is not progression, we know that these players do need to go to Blackroot Burrows next.
Ouch. I want to point out what happened to Baron. He wanted to do fake flippers and dropped down knowing that he just got enough experience to level up. I think assumed that he would have been safe to just dip into the water with 4 health and that level up. Unfortunately, the timing just didn't work in Baron's favor, and Baron got clipped by a fishy, which caused death. That's going to be early advantage to Acrid.
Yeah, fortunately not too massive, because Baron does know what this item is over here. He knows that it is just experience up to the top left here, so he doesn't need to bother with that. Still going to check that fake flippers pickup just in case it wasn't for it. It was just experience. So he is off to Blackroot Burrows as well. Maybe like 30 to 40 seconds behind here, but that can very, very easily be made up in a randomizer.
Well, I want to say ordinarily Randomizer is a boring pickup, but to skip this opening cutscene you need an ability points, and Baron, through that death, lost his level up that he got before. So it's actually really fortunate that the underwater thing had enough XP for a level up.
That is a good point. I hadn't considered that. Yeah, watching this cutscene that Baron just skipped is pretty long. So Acrid, because of wall jump, is able to get up here and check this pickup, which is a 3rd energy cell. A lot of energy cells for this early in the run. If they find one more, they can go through the Death Gauntlet door, which opens their way to quite a few areas in the game, and that like significantly widens their range of options here.
Yeah, sometimes we on commentary and in the community like to talk about what the randomizer is telling us with early pickups, and of course, humans like to look for patterns, and sometimes those patterns don't exist. But yeah, when you see multiple energy cells early game, it will frequently send you into the Death Gauntlet, especially because 4 health is required to get through that poison water at the beginning of Death Gauntlet in standard logic, which we already have. So yeah, so there's Baron on the right getting his 3rd energy. Acrid taking just a little bit of time to get some additional experience and level up, make a safety save before... Alright, nice job on that jump. That jump is relatively tight.
All right, we're seeing a cool divergence here. It looks like Baron is going to attempt to energy glitch this door. By having 3 but requiring 4, you can essentially put 1 energy in right as you leave it. Oh, it looks like he changed his mind, decided he is not going to do that. It is a very difficult trick. It is frame perfect. So changed his mind on that. Is probably just going to dip back into Blackroot Burrows here and follow behind Acrid as well, as he was doing previously.
Yeah, it's a difficult decision to make. I certainly like the thought to do it. Of course, it's possible that we find that 4th in logic energy anyway, which would make Baron's attempt to do that energy glitch not necessary. But, I mean, we might not, and getting into Grotto early can be a huge time save.
Yeah, one of the nice things about the randomizer and our ability to use Alt-R to go back to the beginning is you don't have to do all of these very slow puzzles where you have to carry the orb around in Blackroot. Really, really nice not to have to do that. Ooh, that's another nasty death from Baron there. Ooh, he is really starting to rack up the time loss from these deaths here. Maybe this can convince him to start putting down a few more safety saves or something like that.
Yeah, as before, what Baron was trying to do, or at least what I think he was trying to do, was smart, which is take out that slime because you're going to be jumping to the left later, so you kill it early. It's just the position didn't work out, and Baron was on low enough health to get sniped. It did get hit again there, but he's okay. Meanwhile, on the left, Acrid getting that first tree, which is just an attack upgrade from Dash.
Alright, and this pickup up at the top of Blackroot was the Gumon seal that cereberon just picked up. Looks like Acrid has not gotten that one yet. It is a pretty easy pickup to get to, so wouldn't be that surprised to see him check it. Looks like he's probably going to do that right now. So we'll have his Gumon seal as well. Hopefully that does not come into play. You definitely don't want to have to go to Forlorn Ruins, but in case it does become required, definitely nice to have this dungeon key out of the way and ready to go.
Yeah, one quirk of standard logic that some people might not know, you can find... I'm going to interrupt myself. There's the 4th energy from Acrid, so Death Gauntlet is now in logic, which makes portions of Grotto in logic as well. To finish my thought, you can find the Forlorn Teleporter in this randomizer, but it isn't in logic to use it until you find the Gumon seal. So finding that Gumon seal, as you said, might not matter at all, but it may become significant if we see that teleporter.
All right, I'm interested to see what cereberon does here after this tree. There's a couple of options. There's some pickups off to the left, as well as a section down to the right. There's only the one pickup down and to the right that's in logic right now. However, with some very, very easy glitches, you can keep going. However, notably, it looks like cereberon has 0 ability points. And to glitch out the boulder to keep the frog alive down there, which you very, very much want to do. And also, like, he doesn't have any way to get around it otherwise. You need a point to spend. Although he does find an ability cell there. So bailed out if he wants to continue down to the right here, which he may do after checking these pickups off to the left.
Yeah, routing in the early game here isn't generally complicated, but there are still some decisions to be made. I want to point out that although Baron is behind due to those 2 deaths, Acrid seemed to have a little bit of indecision, kind of running back and forth a little bit, even went from the Glades teleporter back up near spawn before deciding to go through Death Gauntlet. Acrid did successfully open the door and make it through the poison water, but is down to 1 health, so it definitely does have to be careful. Remember that opening that door with 4 energy means you don't have any more to save.
And Wind Restored found in the Death Gauntlet for Acrid. Doesn't do anything for them yet, but if they find Glide, there's going to be a lot of sections around the world where some upwards wind drafts allow them to float up. Early game, it doesn't come into play a whole lot, but in the left side, it makes just a lot of stuff much, much easier for them to have that Wind Restored. So if they find Glide, they're definitely going to be happy to have that.
So the interesting thing about Acrid on the left going into Grotto, this is the intended progression because they don't have enough keystones yet to go through the door, but a lot of stuff has to be left behind in Grotto with this skill set because you don't have verticality or the ability to break blue plants. What that means is that if Baron over on the right finds progression in this boulder area, that could be very, very important, something that Acrid might not find for a little while.
All right, so over on the right-hand side, you're going to see Baron glitch out this boulder. Oh my goodness.
Yep.
He just got rewarded in a big, big way. That is Bash. That's quite possibly the most important skill in the entire run, and notably was in logic. So coming down here, very much the intended progression. Acrid is in a large area with lots to explore and likely won't be coming back here for quite a while. So unless Acrid comes back here or finds something else big soon, that's huge for Baron's ability to close this seed out.
Yeah, like even what Acrid just did on the left, working his way up that corridor, which is a smart play, that would be pretty trivial for Baron with Bash. You can just bash up the slimes. Checking that boulder experience is always a tricky play. You're looking at 1 pickup in logic compared to everything that's in logic down here in Grotto, which is still not that much, to be honest. All that to say that Acrid didn't, I think, make a mistake by not checking that. That wouldn't be accurate. But it's still, well, unlucky. It's the simplest way to put it. Or lucky for Baron.
Yeah, basically, the way you put it is like good play in a randomizer is to play in a way that tilts the odds as much in your favor as it can, but it's still odds. Like, you're never giving yourself a 100% play. You're just trying to make your odds as good as you can.
So 2 things happened. First, Baron took a quick death. The bash didn't go off as expected, and Baron took damage. Second, Acrid found the water vein at that ability cell in the middle of Grotto. What's interesting about that find is that getting that pickup right now isn't in logic. The reason it's not in logic is that even though it's easy to fall down from the trapdoor area, players might mess up the trapdoor cutscene skip. And wait a minute, no, it is in logic. I'm sorry. No, it's not in logic because they might mess it up. I was right the first time.
Yeah, I don't believe standard logic can force you to Alt R and then fall back down again. That would be like for a master or something like that.
Well, yeah, the reason it's not in logic is that players might mess up the trapdoor cutscene and force it to remain closed.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
Yes, sorry, that was a little bit of a word scramble there, but the point is, we have the water vein, or Acrid does more accurately, which is fantastic, but it's not in logic yet. Acrid, while we've been talking, has been continuing to search the lower left portion of Grotto. He's been doing this relatively slow glide vault, whereas Baron has now gone into Grotto. Baron will be able to make up a lot of time here with Bash.
So sort of looking at this race in a macro sense, even more so than normal, I think the best thing that Acrid can find right now is Dash, specifically because having Dash will kind of motivate him to go back into Blackbird Burrows, because having Dash is going to make it so that he can go and get the light grenade tree. He would still need to find something like Stomp or something that allow him to get down there, but something that will lead him in the direction of going back into Blackroot is so important, and hopefully he goes there sooner rather than later, because it's just not having bash when your opponent does is such a crushing disadvantage here.
Yeah, well, the good news, which is still not good for Acrid, but the decent news, is that so much is out of logic with just wall jump, or not even just out of logic, but unreachable. Baron finds Water Vein, by the way, that Acrid might be more and more tempted to backtrack, assuming Acrid didn't forget about that pickup, which I'm guessing he didn't. It's just, you know, like you said, when do you decide to go back and check a one-off?
Yeah, for sure. Fortunately, it is a one-off that has a couple of easy out-of-logic checks to make, and it has a teleporter that's pretty useful. So, like, even though it is a one-off, you are fairly well incentivized to go over there. And you can see how much trouble he's having. Like, there's just a lot of these areas that you just can't get to with this very, very limited skill set that he's stuck on right now. And especially in a clue seed, like a standard clue seed, when you're a player like Acrid, you've got to start to be thinking, like, I should have seen more skills than this by now. Where is that thing that I missed?
Okay, so a few things. First of all, I wanted to point out one of the reasons Acrid is probably going up towards Swamp rather than down towards the double jump is, have we seen any keystones this whole seed?
I don't think we have. It has actually been zero.
It's unusual, right?
Holy cow, you're absolutely right. That's
not a single keystone. 12, almost 13 minutes into the seed, which means that Acrid can't actually get to double jump even if he wanted to, even though he'd have to skip pickups. The other thing I wanted to point out is that just 30 seconds ago or whatever, Baron picked up the Forlorn Teleporter. Remember, that's in logic with the Gumot Seal. However, getting the Forlorn Teleporter was not in logic. To get it, Baron had to double bash a Spider Projectile.
Over on the left-hand side, acridstingray was doing a little something called typically referred to as mini iceless, where he does a jump with just wall jump to get higher up than you're intended to be able to. This is not a position that he should have been able to get around from here, logically speaking, but he is able to continue around. Oh, and Baron coming up big there with a Charge Flame find. He now has blue plant breakage, which means he can check pretty much all of those pickups in Moon Grotto now, and now has access to things like the Charge Flame tree, and can start to think about going to the left side because of Charge Flame and Bash.
Yeah, so, well, I had a thought. I think I'm going to abandon it for now. Let's keep up with the action. Acrid is almost all the way to the Swamp Teleporter. Has to push a slow rock in order to get there. Acrid's just looking for that progression and might find it. There's still a lot that we haven't checked, but we know that that very important Bash pickup is back in the boulder area. Baron, meanwhile, is continuing to do checks as well. Took another death, but it was very non-costly. Now has enough health to break down. Found the Valley Teleporter as well. We're getting so many of these pickups, and so many of them are out of logic that I'm not totally sure where they're kind of quote-unquote supposed to go next. I'm trying to think through that.
And there's our first keystone. I feel a little weird getting hype as a commentator about a keystone find 15 minutes into the run, but if he finds another one of those, he can go to the wall jump tree, typically the first tree that you get in the game. a lot of firsts.
Oh my god, there's a second keystone!
It's unbelievable, what a colossal find! Should I start screaming and peek my microphone?
Absolutely,
because of how exciting this is. Acrid is continuing to check pickups in Grove Main. Those, I think 2 attack upgrades we found, it might even be 2 of them rather than 1, is helping to take out a lot of these enemies a lot more quickly. For Baron, it would be easier to traverse these with Bash, and now with Charge Flame, Acrid has to be a little more deliberate in his actions. He's going to check this health cell in the beginning of Horror Fields, which you can get in logic by baiting down one of these green Banelings. We also haven't seen any maps yet.
It's also correct. You know, no matter how...
Well,
speak of the
never
devil.
mind.
You know, no matter how weird we think that the seed is looking at it with both players, Acrid's got to be thinking even more so. Like, he's still on wall jump only with 0 keystones, almost 16 minutes into this race. That's, I don't know that I've ever played a seed that was quite like that, so, you know, especially when you've got tournament jitters on the line, like, what's going through his head right now?
Yeah, it's a tricky situation for sure. Acrid checked the first map, which gave us health regen, not progression, but still valuable. It effectively gives you 1 extra health cell, depending on how you use it. Acrid He's still not going back into Blackroot. Every time Acrid alt-Rs, there's the chance that he decides to go back in there, but apparently wants to go check more pickups, which is valid. But with every pickup that Acrid is able to check that he gets out of the way, there's a lower and lower chance that he'll find something else to get progression. It might be that Bash was basically the only way to start to break the seed open.
I want to point out a pretty important decision that Baron made maybe like 20 seconds ago. He was at the keystone door to go to the double jump tree, and he chose to Alt-R rather than continue on. With only 2 keystones, he had to basically choose either to do that tree he was at or to go through the door that he just did. And this door does have a tree behind it, 2 in fact, that he can get to, and has a lot more pickup he can check. Now he will have to return to that double jump tree, but he decided even though he's going to have to backtrack to a place he already was, he would much rather spend those keystones here, and I think that's a pretty reasonable play, to be honest.
Yeah, I want to point out, I apologize to Acrid if you watch this back. We may have missed it. I think you had a bad death on your side, having to, I think, redo some of this work. Notably, I saw Acrid have to pick up that water vein again. So, yeah, continuing to do more of these checks. These are very slow checks because Acrid just does not have the skill set to do much else, nor does he have the resources, specifically keystones, to do much else. Meanwhile, Baron has made it to the Charge Flame tree. What? Did Acrid just fall through a platform?
That certainly looked like it. Maybe he was holding down. Can you actually drop through that platform? I'm not even 100% sure. Either way, he was getting himself into some trouble, but fortunately he has a save here this time. It is far enough back that he does need to invest like a pretty significant little length of time to do this again. So he needs these pickups to come up big. Now I do believe Charge Flame was one of the pickups down here, so he will get something out of it. But
yeah,
he'd certainly much rather have that Bash pickup.
Interestingly, Charge Flame is also out of logic. Now, we talk a lot about logic in this tournament. Logic doesn't always matter. Your objective is finishing the seed and winning your race. But understanding logic can sometimes help you zero in on where progression might be. The reason that this area Acrid's in right now is out of logic is because you have to get over to the left side of Grotto, and because of that aforementioned trapdoor cutscene that you might mess up, you might not have the verticality to get over here. If you didn't follow that, the point is Acrid, as you mentioned, Roos, will find Charge Flame in a moment, but I'm pretty certain is still going to have to go back and bash eventually.
Yeah, and it's you know, it's rough for Acrid here that basically not checking that one pickup has resulted in such difficulty for him here. I mean, if he had Bash, he'd have been able to much more thoroughly clear all these areas and would have access to more areas as well. And that's just kind of how a randomizer goes sometimes. You know, you decide what you think the odds are and you make the best play you can, but sometimes it doesn't always come up your way.
That's right. Important to note, though, I mean, so far our commentary has been heavily skewed towards Acrid struggling and Baron being ahead, which is true, but there's still a lot of seed remaining. Notably, getting to the left side is possible right now with Bash, but traversing left side is not going to be very easy. Baron has also made his way through Glades. Glades is a relatively dense area that with Bash and Charge Flame, we can check a lot of stuff in there. So far, I don't think we found any notable progression, maybe a few resources here and there.
So at the 20-minute mark, we just finally got our first clue. The other 2 dungeon keys, we do know where they are because we've just found them, but we did get the clue for the Sunstone, and it is in Grove. Grove, I think, shouldn't be too bad for these runners. A lot of that is relatively accessible, and especially once you've got this Bash pickup, I'm thinking shouldn't be all that big of a problem. But, you know, there's the more difficulty you have finding that, the more chances there are for Acrid to find his way back in here.
Yeah, that's right. Baron, over on the right, using 2 keystones to get into Spirit Caverns. Spirit Caverns is very fast to traverse since you can just jump up and bash off of these projectiles. There's also a number of pickups in here. As you said, we do have that Sunstone clue. Finding the Sunstone right now is, of course, important towards endgame, finishing out the seed, but it isn't going to give us direct progression either. Also, although I mentioned a moment ago that Baron can get left side with Bash by manipulating a Frankie to break a barricade, it's not in logic. We also found the Valley Teleporter before, but I don't recall whether that was in logic either.
You know, it's getting a little hard to follow the logic. I'm having a little trouble remembering myself. So Baron didn't find anything useful here other than access to the Glazer pickup, which could be relevant, but he did get his 2 keystones back. And that's just kind of a little bit of a quirk of the way logic works. Is I feel like you basically always get your keystones refunded if you go into sunken glades, just because, like, if you spent the keystones to get in there and then it didn't give you any new ones, the chances of you keystone locking yourself are much higher. So the seed gen likes to give you keystones down there, at least enough to get you back what you had before.
Yeah, I want to draw attention to the right. Baron is doing something very intelligent, using this Frankie to get up to the glade here, even though he doesn't have enough verticality to make that jump normally. This is in logic, maybe not exactly that way, but using Frankies to bash up there is in logic. Unfortunately, was only rewarded with a measly 62 experience. Not very valuable. Still a smart play by Baron.
All right, so if I had to take a guess, this teleport over to Moon Grotto is going to be Baron choosing to go back and complete that double jump tree that he didn't do earlier. Also does have the skill set to pretty much fully clear this area out if he wants to do so. I already checked quite a bit of it before, but given the relative lack of skills that they have, I don't think being pretty thorough in these areas is a bad decision. Although it looks like he's going up and not down.
Yeah, there's a lot of decisions to be made. Baron could also choose to do a swamp entry and get into swamp, although when he's over there, it won't be the easiest traversal, and Baron would have to leave some things behind. So as you said, Baron is continuing to be thorough. Acrid still has not made the play to go back towards the boulder area. As I said, I hope that Acrid hasn't forgotten about it. He probably hasn't. It's just, I wonder when he's going to choose to go back in there. Still not going back there, going back to Glades. Baron finding some more keystones for his trouble.
In a weird way, finding Charge Flame was almost bad for him because that opened up some new things, whereas if he hadn't found any progression at all, like the number of places he could check would dwindle down to the point where he would just kind of have to go get that bash pickup.
Yeah, I agree, especially now with Glades on the table with those two keystones. Acrid won't be able to check as much as Baron in this area, but will still be able to check a fair amount. Acrid also picked up a Mega Energy a little while back, which isn't too impactful since we already had 4. That's a major threshold, is 4 energy. But I mean, more energy never hurts.
If you're Acrid at this point, you know, you're knocking on the door for 25 minutes into a seed, and you've gotten 1 tree and have 2 skills. Like, that's got to just be doing a number on his mental state right now. He's already got the pressure of being in loser's bracket and all the tournament nerves, and now he's in this seed, which is just like, at least from his perspective, seems ultra starved. So this has got to be rough for sure.
I would agree with that. Nice job by Baron over on the right, using these mortar worms, shoot sharks as they're called, to get up to a pickup using bashes. Also going to head towards swamp entry area and make a save. Baron may decide to go ahead and do swamp entry. Yeah, with that safety save, it looks like that's exactly what he's doing. And that's why you make the save.
So the method he's going to have to use is going to involve using that frog to break the floors and roofs here. Unfortunately, accidentally killed it. Could reload to redo it, but I guess he's decided I'll come back for that later with a better skill set maybe. He's just going to go check some other stuff for now.
Yeah, that's reasonable. These outer swamp pickups are often skipped in randomizer seeds because they're kind of out of the way. They're not on any of the direct paths between trees, but there is a fair amount of stuff over here that right now Baron can check most of it. There is 1 grenade lock pickup, but he can check most of this. So it's reasonable, as you said, to just say, let's wait for the frog to naturally respawn, or maybe just use that other save as a longer save scum before going back to do swamp entry. Hopefully the frog does respawn if that is Baron's intention.
Alright, so if you're Acrid, by the time you finish out this section and get your wall jump tree, I'm trying to think what is actually still available to him other than making that return to Blackroot. And not a lot is coming to mind. Like, for as limited as his skill set is, he's been, like, unfortunately thorough in every direction other than the one that he needed to go.
Yeah, this is what we call getting randoed. As before, it's wonderful that Baron found Bash. Acrid on the left, by the way, having some trouble health regen, barely saving his life. And Acrid also not making a safety save. We may see another death here with these spinners if Acrid isn't careful. We'll see. Anyway, to finish my thought, Acrid not going down to the boulder area. I don't think it's fair to exactly call it a mistake. It's just a choice that Acrid made.
Well, that's painful. Acrid just kind of vaulted over the rock there, right on into those spikes. all that effort unfortunately going to waste. That's a big death. There's really no other way to put it. And unfortunately had a lot of safety energy. He could have thrown a save down too. I guess, like I said, when you're in the driver's seat for something like this where the seat is going so poorly, it's very, very hard to think clearly about everything that needs to be considered. And looks like he unfortunately just took some negative consequences of that.
Yeah, that's right. You're going to have to do a lot of additional checks. One other thing that can be challenging about this situation is that many runners classify pickups in their mind as they find them as either this was important or it wasn't. What that means is that when you take a big death like that and have to revisit a number of pickups, you might not remember which ones were worth getting. You know what I mean? So you might have to check everything again. It's a rough situation.
Yeah, and especially when you're this starved, like you can't leave any single pickup because it could be like one really important thing that you haven't found yet. It could be bash, it could be charge jump, something like that. So yeah, he's just kind of forced to make this play all over again and hope that it's one of those important green skills for him.
Yeah, I want to point out and thank you to Guard in the truck for reminding us of this. Baron has picked up 2 map stones, whereas Acrid on the left has only turned in 1. Baron still hasn't turned any in, but it's possible that map 2 could have progression. Otherwise, there are still a number of pickups that Baron is able to check in logic that could contain additional progression. Remember that we also have the water vein to get access to the Ginso tree, but right now Baron has no way to get up past the second room, which requires more verticality than he has, dumping a lot of points into the purple tree.
Yeah, it's definitely signaling he is intending to go for sense. He does have enough invested in the green tree that if he finds dash, he's partially on the way to charge dash. But, with a seed where they're spending this much time and not finding a lot, he's basically decided that sense is going to be the way to go here. I'm not 100% sure if he goes for that every seed or if he's just decided on the fly in this one, but that does seem to be what he's intending to go for.
Well, getting sense will certainly be easier for Baron than it is for Acrid because Baron has access to more pickups, which means more ability cells, such as that one. I do want to point out that whenever you see these double bash chains by Baron, the Randomizer DLL, the current version of it, does provide people with a quote-unquote free double bash bind where you can just hold a button and you will always guaranteed get a double bash. But using that is still never in standard logic.
So if you're Baron, do you start thinking about going left side at this point? He's done a reasonable amount of clearing here. I think if I was playing in Baron's seat right now, I'd probably go get that double jump tree that's been left behind and then maybe start thinking about making a play for Valley on the left side.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. You go for double jump. Well, I guess that answers our question. Baron immediately used that Valley teleporter. There is a Kuro kill plane here, which means that if Baron goes too far left, Kuro will swoop down and chomp on Ori. But Baron has the option to bash around the side and go up the more normal way. Notably, Baron right now has no way to break the rocks except for fast Stompless, which is, I'm sure, what Baron is going to do.
Yeah, for somebody who's done a lot of Plandemizers and things like that, I would certainly expect that one to be in his repertoire. And with Bash, he's going to be able to use these birds and stuff to get up here fairly easily, and then we'll have free reign of getting around Valley. If he can find Glide with this Wind Restore, that'll actually make them able to get around much, much better than they can currently.
Yeah, Acrid on the left is still struggling, kind of went up towards Blackroot for a moment, dropped back down to the teleporter. Of course, Acrid doesn't know any of this, but from our perspective, it's just continues to be unlucky. We know that Bash is at that Raziel No Boulder experience. Of course, as we mentioned earlier, it would have been possible for additional progression, like Charge Jump or something, to be somewhere else. But it just, at this point, it seems very unlikely that Acrid is going to be able to find it.
Alright, Baron not doing Fast Stompless here is just headed up with the current skill set. I don't think he has any way to break this. I guess he's just going to go get one of these birds to check this experience orb up here. Maybe still got some PTSD from that one preliminary seed where this pickup absolutely destroyed everybody.
Yeah, interestingly, this pickup is in logic. Like, Baron did it with a double bash, but you can do it without one. The Justin ability cell is now going to head back off to the right, at least I assume, and set up that Fast Stompless. A reminder for everyone, Fast Stompless, it worked by redirecting a spider projectile towards the rocks, unloading a barrier in between, and then with careful aim, the spider projectile breaks the rocks for you since you can't yourself.
The shot maybe looked a little low. We'll see if it hits here. Yeah, that looks like it probably didn't quite hit there. We'll see if he decides to keep going at the attempts here. Nope, he's going to Alt-R and check somewhere else, it seems.
Well, what are the reasonable options? You already mentioned double jump tree as a good option. Is that 6 keystones? Am I reading that right?
That looks like 6 to me, yeah. So definitely can get to his double jump tree here. And I believe it looks like that's where he's headed.
Mm-hmm. We are still going to need more keystones than this in order to finish out the seed.
Excuse me. He did not teleport to Moon Grotto. He teleported to... Looks like he's going to turn into Map Stone here.
Map 3 for another keystone, up to 7 total. Yeah, at this point, I'd be very curious what's going through these runners' minds. I don't think we have to wonder about Acrid's mindset. Acrid is thinking, where the heck is progression? How do I find it? Whereas Baron is, well, probably thinking the same, but is just significantly less, skill and resource starved in doing so.
That pointing out a pickup, there is a pickup right near the start where you can bring a Frankie over and bash him up. Also, I believe, so Acrid is going to check the mini-boss down here, which I don't believe cereberon did either. We're starting to get to the point where, there's only so many positions to check, and we haven't seen many skills yet. We got to start seeing one of them show up soon here.
Yeah, I mean, it's either bash or it's something else. Nice job by Acrid redirecting these projectiles, making very short work of the mini-boss. Just knocked it right out of there. We'll see if this is anything. Meanwhile, Baron hitting back to Spider Sack. This is an area... Not Spider Sack, I'm sorry, the lake. This is an area that Baron's been to. Ooh, hello.
Hey, there we go. That's the kind of thing Acrid needs to start finding to get back in this race. Finding double jump. Some much-needed verticality. Notably, Baron is lacking that verticality and can't go up Ginso, whereas Acrid now can if he wants
That's
to.
a good
if something
point.
if something important is in Ginso, that could be Acrid's ticket to get back into this.
Now, I don't mean to diminish, the excitement. That's a wonderful find for Acrid that Baron doesn't have and is unlikely to check. However, it's not as important as Bash. Double jump gets you up Ginso. It gets you a lot of access to the right side. It doesn't really do you much good on the left side, at least not without Feather or Charge Step or obviously Bash.
Yeah, agreed. I definitely think that Baron is still in the driver's seat here, but we're starting to see signs of life from Acrid with that find there, especially because if Baron didn't check the mini-boss already, he's unlikely to do so now.
Mm-hmm. That's got to feel good for Acrid, though. I mean, very frustrating to go more than half an hour and just be so starved on progression, but double jump makes Ori's movement feel so much more fluid. In my opinion, Baron found the Sunstone in Grove.
Oh boy.
It was the energy cell to the left of where that Spider Sack falls. We've had that clue for a little while. Baron no longer has to think about dungeon keys as all 3 of them, even the Gumon seal.
Alright, so, we're not that far away from Baron being in go mode here. He's not quite there yet. He needs some verticality, and he would very much like some skills to make the left side easier. But, if he finds, glide and charge jump, he's good to go at this point.
Well, I also want to point out, as we've kind of touched on a number of times, Baron still hasn't gone to a number of right side trees, which are in logic for him. And it's not that he, strictly has to or anything, but Baron has been spending a lot of time being very thorough rather than rushing trees, which may ultimately pay off. Of course, you saw Baron get that early batch find, but might give Acrid an opportunity to catch up if Acrid decides to be more aggressive, especially because Acrid may at some point choose to go towards the grenade tree and find that batch pickup.
Oh, this is a delightful little bit of good rando knowledge on cereberon's part.
Yep.
When you get the Sunstone, the frog up here actually spawns in and is not there otherwise. So he knew that frog would be there and he could break the rock with his shots rather than having to do Fast Stompless again. Nice play from him there.
Mm-hmm. Fast Stompless is always faster if you, nail it first try, but it's a lot easier to do other methods. Well, easy, is relative, but most people would probably say it's easier. Nice Valley Teleporter find by Acrid over on the left. Isn't going to be able to really do anything with it yet, excuse me. But it's nice to have.
What a bizarre seed to have given up Bash to the players within the first, less than 10 minutes, and still now at 35 minutes, we're on 4 trees by the leading player right now. Very, very unusual to have a seed progress out this way.
Yeah, I agree. At least one of the early limitations no longer is as big a deal, since Baron has enough keystones to at least work with. I still think Baron's going to need some more. We need 4 keystones for Ginso. We need 4 for Sorrow unless we happen to be able to get through another way. We need 2 for Swamp, 2 for Double Jump. But I mean, we have enough keystones to potentially work us in duplication. Baron, by the way, is heading back into Glades, an area that he's already almost full cleared, presumably going down to this map altar. Yeah.
All right,
It
he definitely
is.
thinks that there's something on Mapstones. Nothing on that one. I was really interested to see if he chose to go out through Spirit Caverns there, because he can do like a lot of the valley entry right now. Although I guess he could just come back from the teleporter as well and not have to spend all those keystones, right?
Yeah, Baron's also making that play to go to Forlorn. Now, Forlorn, I believe now, is actually back in Logic because Acrid found Double Jump. Remember that the Forlorn teleporter was down in that lower left portion of Grotto, which was Baron had to double bash to get there. Acrid, if he goes back there, could just double jump up, which means that most of this stuff, maybe everything here in Forlorn is in Logic, except for some of the stomp locked pickups on the right side. Baron with a quick death is going to have to redo some of that movement.
All right, big stuff happening on both screens. Acrid is going into Ginso, which is fresh territory with a ton of pickups in it. If something like Charge Jump is in there, that's exactly the sort of thing Acrid needs. If it turns up like, completely barren, no pun intended, then that would definitely be, cereberon still in the driver's seat here.
Yeah, Baron is just, as you mentioned before, being very, very thorough rather than pushing trees. If you look at that tracker at the bottom right portion of the screen underneath Baron's stream, or along the outer edge, that's how you can tell which trees have been activated. We have to activate every single one of those before finishing the game in the final escape. Baron has many trees available, but is continuing to search instead.
Now, notably, he has Sense, and so Sense is a very powerful ability. Sort of the opportunity cost of it is that you frequently are either like not able to get Charge Dash, or you are greatly delaying it. But since these runners haven't found Dash yet, that's obviously not a problem just yet. So Baron is able to like much more quickly go through these areas and find out if there's stuff that he needs to bother actually going all the way to. So these plays to dig around, and he's
Paid off in spades.
so that's just go mode for Baron, right? I don't think he needs anything else if he doesn't want it.
Well, once he gets it again in 5 seconds, then yes, it will be. Yeah, we mentioned this frequently on the commentary side. Go mode in Ori is often a fluid entity. Different players can be comfortable with different skill sets to finish out the seed, but with Bash and with Charge Jump, Baron will probably feel comfortable to do most everything. Getting to the Charge Jump tree is going to be non-trivial, especially because Baron has dumped points into the Sense purple tree rather than Ultra Defense.
Yeah, that is very true. Even though he could technically finish, as you've said, it would not at all be unreasonable for Baron to keep digging, because a lot of his left side stuff is pretty nasty right now, especially without that double jump and with no glide.
Yeah, Baron, by the way, we just saw make good use of Sense. Baron didn't forget about the pickup at the beginning of Forlorn, but noticed that Ori's color did not change enough to mean that it was anything at all. Just as a reminder for people who don't know, if you ever see Ori turning from blue to a more yellowish red color, that indicates that Ori is physically close to an important pickup.
So Acrid is doing a Ginso key duplication here. He made it all the way up to the 4 keystone door in Ginso and did not quite have enough. It's always really tragic when you go up and you're just there's enough pickups on the way that you expect to probably get bailed out and find a keystone, but not quite. Oh, well, it's okay. That is 4th here, and should be good to continue up to the Bash tree. And I think if I'm in his seat, in his shoes, I definitely continue searching further upwards, but we will see what Acrid decides to do here.
Or can Acrid continue up?
That's
he
a
would
good
need
point.
triple jump to do it. So right now, unless Bash has, well, I mean, we know where Charge Jump and Bash are, so. Anyway, Acrid, I think that key dupe was successful.
Yeah, I think it looks like I'm seeing 6 keys, I think. Interesting that he chose to dupe again. He did have the 4 he needed to open it, but I guess he wanted to still have some extras remaining anyway.
Yeah, well, Acrid's going to need more for the Stomp Tree and for some other trees later on is going to dupe another time. This key dupe is relatively slow compared to something like the one in Forlorn or Sorrow if you have Feather. Yeah, I guess Acrid just wants those keystones. It'll be nice to have them, but remember that Acrid is still relatively skill-starved, which means that Acrid's probably going to have to do some additional searching before he can finish the seed anyway, and will likely stumble upon additional keystones kind of naturally.
I did see Baron turn red when he was kind of down near the lower drain that you break, but I think that was, so Warmth Returned was down there, and I think it was just triggering at that, not actually anything else. But it's possible it could have been triggering on two things that you just missed whatever the second thing is. It might be in the water or something like that.
Yeah, Acrid is still in this duping loop. I think may have had an error on one of them, maybe had to replace the save. I'm not totally certain. This key dupe is not my area of expertise. Baron actually... never mind, I think I may have misread something. Continuing forward, Baron has successfully gotten the Stomp Tree. Backed out, is going to go back over to left side and continue progression.
Acrid is very worried about his keystone count. He's continuing to key dupe several times. Was up to 10. And then put 4 in, and actually just found an 11th as well, and then went ahead and fully opened the door. So I guess he's just wanting to set himself up to make sure he has more than enough keys to finish out the entire run, no matter what he finds. Oh, does get Grenade, though.
Grenade is a strong pickup. It's especially strong with Bash, which Acrid doesn't have.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier that Acrid might stumble upon Bash when he goes back to do a Grenade Tree. Unfortunately, Acrid is unlikely to try to go to Grenade Tree without already having Bash or Dash, because you can't really lure the Frankie well. Right?
Yeah, it's just so many things about this seed just flow much, much better if you have that Bash pickup from early on. When Baron gets up here and he finds that grenade, all of a sudden that's like a really powerful movement and verticality tool for him. Whereas for Acrid, it's a way to break blue plants, but he already had that with Charge Flame, and it's not verticality at all. So it's, even though it's a good pickup to have, it's not useful for him without that Bash.
Yeah, that's right. On the right, we see Baron finally going into the Ginso tree. Remember that these two runners have had the Water Vein for quite a long time now. It was acquired early in the seed, but Baron didn't have the verticality to get through until he found Charge Jump, because Baron, unlike Acrid, doesn't have Double Jump yet.
So I feel like, since it's pretty unlikely that Baron goes back for Double Jump, the thing that he would most like to stumble into at this point would definitely be Glide, just because, especially with that Wind Restored, it's going to make the left side much easier for him. He'll be able to start pushing all of those trees that he still needs. Also, when you don't have multiple jumps, having access to the ability to just kind of float in the air is really, really comfy. Makes things much, much easier for you.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Bruce. I'm kind of glancing at these skill wheels, trying to suss out what's left, what are the challenges. As you correctly pointed out, there are some challenges remaining for Baron. Baron is also about to have Bash and Grenade, which gets you a lot of verticality and a lot of flexibility, but still maybe not as much as something like Feather might give you, especially in Sorrow. So I don't know that this is trivial for Baron. Yep, turning red and gets the Grenade.
I'm interested to see if he continues upwards from here, because there are still several skills that would be pretty nice to have. Feather and Dash, and from his perspective, Double Jump, of course, although we know it's not here.
That's interesting. The upper portion of Ginso in the community we sometimes call the banana stand, because there's always money in the banana stand. The meme being that there's a lot of pickups up there with this skill set. Baron can get to them very quickly and might have additional progression, especially something like Feather. But yeah, Baron, it's actually surprising to me, because Baron has been so thorough so far, that Baron is continuing to, or decided to not continue, is going to go to Blackroot instead.
Right, looks like Baron is deciding to go down to the Light Grenade tree, and is going to utilize this Frankie to do so. There's a floor he needs to break. You would typically do it with Stomp, or barring that, you can do it with Climb and Charge Jump, neither one of which he has. So he is breaking into it using this Frankie. Now this is a pretty precise setup. He needs to make sure that this Frankie doesn't jump into any of those spikes and die immediately. This is pretty interesting as well, just because there are areas that he has to go to that he still hasn't chosen to visit yet. I'm thinking specifically of the double jump tree. Like, he knows he's going to have to go there, and he's doing this rather than check there and maybe finding, like, you know, climb or stomp on the way. But, you know, sometimes when you're in the middle of a tournament race and a seed has been crazy, like, you just do the thing you think of, because it's like, it's better to do something useful rather than sit and think about what's the absolute best thing to be doing right now.
Yeah, that's right. The whole thing about, you know, any progress is better than no progress. Acrid did find the Sorrow Teleporter in the grenade-locked pickup in Outer Swamp Loop. That's a very powerful find, which may ease Acrid's left side access significantly. However, importantly, you can't get out of that Sorrow Teleporter area. At least you can't do it inbound without either Stomp or Charge Jump. Charge Jump, we know, is in Forlorn Ruins, and Acrid doesn't have the Forlorn Teleporter, and Stomp, we don't know where it is.
Really clean movement through here by Baron. He, like, effortlessly got around this big instant kill laser thing. That is much more difficult movement than it looks like, the way that he did it there. First try, easy every time, and is rewarded by getting access to his grenade tree here. He's changing color, by the way.
Wow. Wow.
Everything's
Ladies and
coming up,
gentlemen,
Baron.
this is why you rush skill trees, because you sometimes get super lucky and find exactly what you need, exactly where you want it. With Glide, all of our previous concerns about Baron's potential difficulties and uncomfortability with being in full go mode are now off the table. There's no way that Baron is not comfortable with finishing out the seed.
Yeah, the Wind Restored is going to make the left side stuff much easier. It looks like he is teleporting to go to his double jump tree. I would very much expect to see a just push for those left side trees that are remaining, and then a fairly clean closeout to the seeds. He does have quite a bit of health. This should be more than enough for the final escape. Notably doesn't have clean water, so he does have to worry about how many damage boosts he can take there. And because he went for Sense, it's going to be a little harder for him to invest in getting to Ultra Defense.
Yeah, that's right. It's kind of amusing to me that Baron has to go do the double jump tree now, just because double jump is usually a tree that we see early in seeds. We've had a lot of strange things happen this seed. We had no keystones for ever. Now we're seeing double jump 3 late.
Okay, are my eyes playing tricks on me, or was he starting to change color a little bit? He may have been sensing the very, very edge of double jump there.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. It may have been that Baron... I was just going to say, it may have been that Baron didn't notice. It may also be that he didn't care, because I'm sure Baron would love to have double jump, but he may just be thinking, what could possibly be there that I care about having compared to the time investment it would take to get it?
Yep, like you said, either didn't see it or didn't care. We'll definitely have to ask him in the post-race interview, because, you know, he's already seen Warmth returned, which is the useless thing that can trigger Sense. So the chances that that was something valuable like dash or double jump are pretty high. So I feel like if I'm Baron there and I see myself change color, I'm definitely checking that. But, you know, if he feels totally comfortable with his current skill set, it is a decent way out of the way. Like, it's not an unreasonable play, even if he did notice it.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Baron!
That is...
the psychic!
What I'm assuming happening, I mean, we've been talking about how Baron doesn't go mode, doesn't need to check anything at all, but Baron kind of had to float left anyway, could have done a Bash Glide, but just floated left, which means getting that pickup takes very little additional time, and I'm sure Baron very quickly noticed Ori's color changing. Dash is going to make the remainder of the seed much, much faster. It's also going to open up rocket jumps, although I don't know if Baron has leveled up rocket jumps in his ability tree yet, since he dumped points into Sense.
He's got to be getting pretty close to enough points, even if he doesn't have it already. Because he did have a pretty good investment in the green tree and still has several points to spend at this point as well.
Yeah, but man, look at that skill wheel. We have 3 empty slots, but the slots that we have filled are totally sufficient. Baron has access to charge jump, to bash grenades, to dash, to feather, has a lot of health and a lot of energy. Very fortunate to get that dash find. It was realistically, there's charge dash, realistically something that Baron didn't actually need. As a reminder, which may be unnecessary to remind people of, these runners are obviously playing blind, they can't watch each other, so it's not like Baron knows that he has this much of a lead or anything, but he's got to feel pretty comfortable.
Yeah, for sure. That said, given the like 30-minute glut of important progress, I definitely would not be surprised if Baron feels like he's losing right now. just because you've got to think, like, it's very natural to think in your head that your opponent has all the same stuff you have, and then like, oh, maybe they didn't check all those worthless things. So Baron could certainly be playing as if he's behind right now.
Yeah. Well, whether he feels like he's behind or not, Baron doesn't have much else to go. There's only one tree remaining into charge jump. Previously, that would have been very difficult to get to. But with Glide, it becomes pretty trivial. We even have Wind Restored, which means Baron doesn't even have to do a Sorrow Bash. Remember that Acrid found that Sorrow Teleporter in the grenade-locked pickup in Outer Swamp. Baron did not, but that is just simply not going to matter.
We're seeing some pretty heads-up play from Acrid. He's definitely showing off a lot of rando knowledge here to check some of these one-off pickups in his desperation to find progression. He did a cool trick there where he opened up the door into that poisoned water with the grenade thing, and then as the animation was playing, he made sure to jump out over the water, so he sank further into the water without taking damage because of the cutscene, and was able to check it despite his relatively low health there. So, even though things are definitely not going Acrid's way here, he's made a lot of very good plays, and, had he just checked the one pickup that turned out to be Bash early on, we would undoubtedly be seeing an extremely different race here.
Yeah, that Bash pickup is just extremely powerful. As we saw, Baron there was able to use Bash to put this Frankie in position, rocket jump up, use its projectile to break a ceiling, and then rocket jump again to get up here very, very fast. Baron also has, I think, exactly enough keystone to get through here, so that's pretty fortunate. This is a very fast key dude, so it wouldn't matter if Baron was low, but I think, faster is still better.
Yeah, it does burn the last of his keys, but he knows he has absolutely no need for any more for the rest of the run. Just has to, after this, go and finish out the game, pretty much. He went so quickly, I completely didn't even... I missed that he did Misty. I was about to say, oh, he's got one tree left. But nope, not required. He is donezo. And charge action off to the end.
Misty's just some trees. What's really in there at the end of the day. Acrid, by the way, picked up the Forlorn Teleporter in lower left grotto. Remember that charge jump is in Forlorn. So if Acrid, who is not going to Forlorn, is going in a different direction... Yes. We're going right. That's what I want to see. Bash is at the Boulder Experience. I think Acrid's gonna find it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of reasons to come in here other than to go check that area. That's pretty much like he's cleared everything out of here. He's gonna check.
There's the dash plant.
Yeah, and then surely you've got to continue down from here once you're in this area, right?
I would think so, especially because Acrid can pick up the teleporter, which makes getting down to that grenade tree area faster. So let's hope so. Yeah, Acrid putting a smart safety save. Again, showing off that Acrid certainly has the knowledge to pull off a lot of these tricks. Making that safety save is a smart one for precisely this reason. Getting the dash plane in this way can be a little bit difficult sometimes. Unfortunately, it's going to be too little too late. Baron has made it all the way to Horu. As usual, has the decision to make between taking out the mini-boss versus doing a door warp. Door warp is always faster if you get it first or second try, but taking out the mini-boss is flashier.
And it is going to be violence today. We're seeing a lot of that in this tournament. That's pretty cool. I guess a lot of people just either aren't comfortable with door warp or just have more fun killing the mini-boss. So we've been getting to see a lot of this boss get fought as we go through the tournament here.
Yep, nice job by Baron. Took a handful of cycles, but was able to use the upper border worms to take it out. He's also going to check validation experience. As a reminder, calling it the validation experience is a meme. It's not actually required for validation.
Well, that's just excessive.
Okay, so what that tells us is... I don't know what that tells us anymore. But that's a very mean location for Stomp to be at. Acrid finally found Bash. That's gotta be... Yeah.
When you see it on a pit location that was in access, available 5 minutes into the run, I mean, he's got to know things are probably not looking too good for him here. The chances that Baron also has not found that until 55 minutes are fairly low. So that's just got to be kind of not a great feeling there. But still, good that he's able to finish out the rest of the season at this point after that.
Yeah, which shouldn't take him too long. Remember that Acrid doesn't have Feather, but we know that Feather is at the grenade tree, so if Acrid happens to go there first, then probably that last major barrier of how to get through Sorrow Pass will be gone as well. Baron actually took a death in the escape, took some damage early on, and we don't have clean water. Baron also doesn't have Ultra Beams, which means that each second that Baron's in the water, he takes 1 tick of damage. I believe that Baron has health regen as well, at least 1 of them, maybe 2, which means that Baron effectively has 1 more health cell than it appears. But yeah, definitely struggling to survive and not take fire damage until we bash off of one of those elemental effects.
It kind of looks like maybe he's trying to double jump to slow his momentum down and just forgetting that he doesn't have it. It's definitely understandable when you've got like dash and charge jump and bash and everything. It can feel like, oh, I just have all the skills, right? And so you just let your muscle memory take over, and then it turns out that, no, actually, you did need to do something a little different here.
Nice job by Baron. He was able to perch on the wall, avoid taking fire damage, and make it around. Still has to make it through the poison water, but at this point Baron has plenty of health to do so. Can also dash the fishies for additional distance and to avoid taking damage off of them. Last step is Baron's actually going to bring this fish with him. That's interesting. Rather than using charge jump and a glide to get past, he's going to go for fish strats instead, I assume. Or just double bash this on the way up.
Okay. Got out of there with the rocket jump and crosses over the finish line. Just will need to hold right for roughly 70 to 80 seconds, and then we'll be finished and we'll take this win. And with that, gets to continue on in the bracket, whereas Acrid will be done after today. But despite that, still was very happy to see him race, and we got to show off a lot of cool heads-up plays here, despite the unfortunate location of Bash for him.
Yeah, speaking of the location of Bash, I want to point out Acrid actually just loaded a backup save. I believe that he had some trouble with his Frankie. I unfortunately didn't catch exactly what happened, but thankfully the backup save that was loaded was close enough that he'll be able to get that Bash pickup. That's the important thing, very, very quickly. At this point, Acrid can decide to continue through. Is not going to make a safety save, is instead, nice job using a Bash grenade to get up there. Yeah, so Acrid will have some more choices available. As you can see from the tracker, still has a number of trees. Meanwhile, Baron is almost finished with his final portion of the run.
All right, so now that you've got Bash, a lot of options begin to open up for Acrid here as to how you close out this seed. So with double jump, he's very much got the skill set to do a lot of the left side if he chooses to do that. Can also definitely get over to that stomp tree. So I think if I'm Acrid at this point, I'm basically just like gonna start pushing the trees. There's a lot of them that are remaining, and I'm hoping to find some more skills on the way. It definitely would be nice to find like glide or dash. We do know where those are now because of Baron, so hopefully he'll find those on the way, although without sense might be a little bit harder for him to track those down.
Yeah, that's right. Interestingly, Acrid is also trying to bash this Frankie up and have it break a peg for him, even though Acrid does have access to router through other means. I guess just wants this path open. Acrid also has to be very careful to not kill this Frankie. It can only survive 4 bashes. That's how much health it has. Oh, never mind, Acrid. I think it's actually trying to take it up and around. That may be the intention.
Okay, this is an interesting method. I guess he wants to get to the light grenade tree. There's ways to do it that involve just taking the Frankie underneath the crushers, or you can just like go straight up and over to the teleporter, but I guess the method he's comfortable with involves getting it up onto the swing set. It's interesting, I've never actually seen this one.
Yeah, as we said, the major challenge here isn't just you managing your bash angles, it's that this Frankie is weak. It can only survive 4 hits, which means you only get 3 bashes to get it into the position that you want. Which is, not very many bashes, all things considered.
Alright, chat, do apologize for the sound issues. Going to be trying to get that balanced here shortly. Switching over to Acrid's game sound seems to be a little bit louder, so sorry about any ear damage we have incurred here.
Yeah, by the way, I want to point out we do have our winner, Baron, chilling in our on-deck voice channel. So, while Acrid continues to make these valiant efforts at getting this Frankie to behave for once in its dumb life, we're going to bring Baron in. Welcome, Baron. Congratulations on your victory. How do you feel?
I am exhausted by that seed.
That's totally understandable. That was a tough one.
Yeah, it gave me a headache until the very end when I checked validation. That cured me.
All right, so I have a very specific question, and then we can maybe get a little more general. The thing that I was the most curious about when you revisited double jump, you just barely started to trigger sense there. And spoilers, the thing that I think it was triggering on was the mini boss had double jump on it. Did you actually notice that you were triggering sense and were just like, I don't care, I have everything I need? Or did that just like, didn't notice at all?
At that point, I did not actually notice. But I don't think I would have necessarily gone back to do mini boss for potentially something useful.
Totally reasonable. I get that. Yeah, at that point your skill set was very strong. So, kind of going we can just talk about a little bit of the race here. Oh, I do want to let everybody know. It looks like our other racer Acrid is going to decide not to finish out his seed now that he's seen that Baron has finished and that he still has a ways to go. That is totally reasonable. Not a problem at all. We'll try and pull Acrid in here and we can do a tandem interview here.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough seed. I feel I was lost for quite a while.
All right,
Yeah,
and we have Acrid here. GG to you as well. Unfortunate to see you have to exit the tournament, but we thought you definitely made a lot of very cool plays there, and hope you had some fun.
Yeah, I wasn't really expecting to win against Vero anyway, so I don't really mind losing, really.
Yeah, well, I want to direct
No,
a quick question at you, Acrid. Of course, now you know where that bash was at the Boulder experience. I'm curious, in the early game, you were starved on skills for so long. What was your routing like at that point? At what point did you really consider going back to Boulder?
Well, I considered going back to Boulder because I was just looking for grenade things since I did have like double jump grenade. And I was like, well, then I'll just go. Like, I was out of grenade things in my mind at least. I don't know where your grenade stuff is. I'm really weak on grenade. So I was just gonna go check the grenade tree and then Lost Grove. And since I was there, it may as well check Boulder, and that was Bash. And then I realized that I had been playing this seed extremely like movement start, even though it really wasn't like that. And at the start, like, yeah, I was a skill starved, but at the same time, like, the game was letting me progress, right? It wasn't really like Bash's skill opens a lot, and the game was like very linearly forcing me to stuff. But like, since it was very linear, I was like, well, this is like just a very long progression chain. There's nothing at Boulder, and even if there is, it's got to be minor. And if it is a minor, Baron already has it for sure. So I'm not really gonna go there, bother going back there. Except, I mean, it's Bash. I probably should have.
Yeah, it's unfortunate how it turned out. I'm sure when you watch it back, you'll be kicking yourself just a little bit. But as you've said, like the seed was almost mean in the sense that it was always giving you other things you could go do rather than go back and check that one pick off. So uh, very unfortunate there. So next question for Baron. One of the things that was really unique about this seed was the first half was like crazy keystone starved. Like I think you guys found your first keystone at like 15 or 20 minutes in. To what extent was your routing, especially in the early game, kind of like decided by keystones here, and how much of it was just following logic with skills?
Oh, I know I absolutely made a decision down in Grotto. I had 2 keystones. I circled 2 keystones. I checked all the way up to double jump door, and it was 2 pickups there, or go back and check glades because I didn't know where another keystone. I knew an underwater one was in the Death Gauntlet, but I had no idea. So I told myself if I didn't get a keystone on my way to that door, I was just gonna leave and come back for it. Kind of annoying, but it worked out because there was nothing behind that door.
Sure. Well, Acrid, I want to ask you another question. You spent quite a while doing key duplications in Ginso, so clearly that's a key dupe that you're comfortable with. Was your intention there to like prep yourself on keystones for the rest of the entire seed? Is that something you generally do?
I didn't wanna. I mean, it is something I generally do, but I wasn't doing it with that intention. Now I didn't want to choose between Spirit Caverns and Ginso, so I decided like after one cube I was on 7 Ginsos, I think, which is less than 8. So I had to do another one, which was kind of annoying. I should have like I thought with one I would be fine, and then I realized I wasn't fine. That was a bit annoying. But yeah, I just didn't want to choose between Escape Spirit Caverns or the Bash Tree, so I decided to do my Ginstones there.
All right. That's all the questions for me. Grim, do you have any more?
Yeah, I just want to ask Acrid, now that you have been knocked out of the tournament by Baron, what are your future Ori plans or speedrunning plans in general?
I don't know. I've been having fun with the game, so I might go back to old onions. Since the reason I stopped playing that category was mostly that like keyboard only tricks got found, and now I'm playing on keyboard. But at the same time, I don't know if I have it in me to learn another speedrun right now. I've been doing pretty much just casual game playthroughs, and I might just continue in that sense, honestly.
Yeah. Well, a similar question to you, Baron. Obviously, you still are in the tournaments. Do you plan to just continue as normal? Do you think that you'll be practicing any particular strats, or just kind of looking forward to your next match?
Definitely got grenade jump to continue to work on. I'm trying to make it work without, pulling out a whole nother keyboard. Um, but yeah, it's just general movement and not dying because I fumbled a lot at the start of the seed.
Yeah. Well,
All
thank you.
right. Thank you so much to both of you. So looking forward, Baron, you are going to be facing the winner of Poogle versus Arrow. So we'll be looking forward to that once you guys get that one scheduled. As far as the rest of today, we have one more race today. Going to be in about 50 minutes. Should be still on the same channel, I believe. It's going to be Ernest versus Rufus with Romulus and Turtle on comms. Definitely looking forward to that one as well. And then, as always, we're going to have even more matches tomorrow and throughout the week. I have been Roos SR, and I've been joined on comms by Grim. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks as always to our truckers. You may have said this. I'm sorry. Our truckers this match were Guard and Line Elminar, our restreamer with Fox Diamond. Thank you to everyone.
Everybody
We'll
around.
see you on the next one. Bye.